comics are stupid.
No Harry Potter movie is
And
good.
you're like, give me the Snyder Cut. Oh, sorry, just walk in front of you here. Gonna put my popcorn down. Oh, sorry, gotta put this here.
Universal needs to sue Sony.
Hey, I'm an idiot. I was fired from Fox. Let me go.
I'd like actually to see Venom just crush Spider-Man.
Hello, everyone. We're back today with episode 5 of this amazing series. And today we have a sensational voice actor known for voicing Kitty Pryde on X-Men Evolution and Bulma on Dragon Ball Z. And so many other amazing roles that if I went through and listed them all, we wouldn't have time for this interview. So and who's now actually a singer and voice coach, obviously, in Vancouver. So help me introduce Maggie Blue O'Hara.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Khalil. Nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you. I'm so happy you agreed to this.
Yeah, of course.
So I've got to ask you one question first, just to be on brand with the whole channel, which is: are you a superhero fan?
Of course.
I'm so glad you said that because this would have been very awkward if you weren't.
For sure. I mean, doing the voice of Kitty Pryde on X-Men Evolution, I had to become an X-Men fan for sure. Learned a lot more about that. And then being Bulma on Dragon Ball Z. And then just as a fan watching films, I have an 11-year-old daughter. And my partner, he's an organic gardener by trade, but he also loves going and seeing all the Marvel. We've actually been enjoying, Bella as my daughter, we've been enjoying watching Ms. Marvel, the new series. Have you been enjoying that?
Yeah, it's in such a good series. And the main character is Canadian. Iman Vellani is Canadian.
Is she? Yeah. And it's cool to see all about her Muslim culture because is it Muslim or it's Persian?
It's Muslim, yeah.
She's Persian though, and it's Muslim. I mean, I don't know much about that culture, so my daughter and I are interested to learn more. It's great to see that beautiful, colorful culture.
I know, it's amazing. It's like, you get to connect to people. Like, I've never seen a Muslim superhero before, and obviously that, it's amazing to see that on screen, obviously being a Muslim myself. And so it's the importance of diversity, which is amazing.
Yeah, it must feel good to see a superhero with your own culture. It's like finally, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your time. I kind of want to jump a little bit to your time in Hong Kong because I found this very interesting. So you actually were part of kind of Disney Hong Kong, and you directed a show in Hong Kong, correct?
I did. So in early 2004, I fell in love with a Chinese man who was a well-known theater director in Hong Kong. He was here in Canada doing a cross-country tour for the children's festivals, directing a show. And we met and fell in love. And about a year later, after living together for a year here in Canada, he invited me to move to Hong Kong. And I thought maybe just for a year I would check it out. But it was so exciting, and he wanted to stay there, being Chinese and loving being a part of his own culture there that is so thriving. And business is good in Hong Kong. So we started our own theater company. It was called All Theater Arts Association. And because we did it all. We did puppets and masks and stilt walking and fire dancing, and we were doing bilingual theater. So we were using Chinese, Cantonese, as well as Putonghua, Mandarin, and English. And we were doing really interesting original theater. And we did that for 10 years. And in the last year that I was working with his company, our company, before I moved back to Vancouver, I was hired through him. We got a contract to work with Disney just for about a 6-month contract. Our company was hired to create the first ever Frozen puppet show at Hong Kong Disneyland. So I was working with the puppeteers and teaching them how to make the puppets come to life by breathing with them. So not just really static puppets, but how to put your own inhale and exhale into the puppet's chest. And my ex-husband now, but Hoi Chu is his name, and we're still good friends, and he's in Hong Kong. He's a master puppeteer, and he built all the puppets, and there was an amazing huge Olaf And we did the whole, in summer, that song was like the major part of the puppet show. It was exciting to have, backstage passes for 6 months at Disneyland and going there for rehearsals. It was a thrill.
That sounds so cool. Just the whole puppet thing.
Yeah.
That's like amazing. So now I have to ask you a little bit about so when you decided to kind of decide to go to Hong Kong, was it a hard decision to leave and kind of go so far away, or was it kind of easy because you knew what you wanted to do?
Well, I had been working in Vancouver as an actress since I was a kid. Like, I think when I was 5 was my first job. And so I've been acting in Vancouver and some in Toronto since I was a kid. And then in my 20s, when I met Hui Chu, I was like excited and thrilled about that opportunity to travel more, because I love traveling. I've traveled quite a lot, like maybe 20 different countries or something, which isn't too much, but it's pretty good. Yes, I enjoyed having that opportunity. I think I had just finished the X-Men Evolution contract. It was like a 4-year job. So I think that had just ended, and I thought, I could like stay in Vancouver and, hopefully, probably, maybe, you never know with acting, book another good series, or let's try something new. And, as an actor, the work is not consistent, right? Sometimes you're just like rolling on it, job after job, but other times there might be a dry part of 6 months or more where you just don't get any work, and it can get tiring trying to audition all the time. And so anyways, having that opportunity to move to Hong Kong and be more empowered to write our own work. I wrote about 30 original productions, and we got to tour around the world, and I got to create starring roles for myself, and I learned how to make original music with other composers, and I became a dance choreographer, and I directed quite a few productions. It was a next level, up-leveling my skills.
So that's actually very interesting, because typically you don't see this kind of, I guess, almost a full transition, away from, I guess, conventional acting and kind of doing your own thing. And that's kind of amazing that you're able to kind of do that and do that successfully.
It was so empowering, because I had been an actress my whole life here in Vancouver, quite successfully, going from job to job, here and there, having other small part-time jobs to pay the bills, but then getting more good contract work. So definitely feeling rich and feeling poor up and down throughout my whole life, as a performing artist does, unless you're like top A-level Hollywood star. But yeah, having that opportunity was very empowering, to go from always waiting for the role to realizing, hey, as creative artists, we can create our own work as well.
So I have to ask you about kind of your first role, right? What was your first role, and why did you decide this was something you kind of wanted to do with your life?
Well, it goes way back when I was a really small child. My mom, as parents do, they bring you to see theater shows, like, kids theater. And I think the first thing I saw, maybe I was around 3 or 4, and I was like, Mom, you have to let me do this. I am an actress. I am a dancer. I'm a singer. You have to help me. So she helped me take dance classes and things like that. And then when I was 5, I was in a professional theater production that was at a place called the McPherson Playhouse Theater in Victoria, one of the top theaters in Victoria. And it was a Tennessee Williams theater play called Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, which is a classic theater production. And then I was one of the little kids who was called the No Neck Monster. So I was one of the brats who got to run around, and it wasn't even in the script, but I like spit in the guy's face and I kicked his shins, and people all laughed and loved it. And then my mom was apologizing to that actor backstage after the show, and he's like, "Are you kidding? She's a natural." And he loved it, and I loved it. I loved the immediate laughter that when you do live theater, the immediate reaction from the audience, and just giving the permission to be another character. I just loved it. And I've always been an outgoing, fairly confident person. So having that chance to be seen and be heard worked for me as an extrovert. Yeah, and then I knew I just wanted to keep going. And then when I was also that same year 5, we moved to Toronto for a year, and I got a commercial that was a product called Libby's Zoodles. It was like Zoodles was like a spaghetti in a can in the shape of animals. And for about 10 years, that commercial was on. So for 10 years, I got paid. I got thousands and thousands of dollars just for doing this commercial. I bought my own bike and I bought my own bunk beds as a kid. And I was like, hey, this cash is pretty good for doing something that I like. So that was kind of my like stamp, like, yes, I am going to be an actress for the rest of my life, because the money was fun to get as a kid. It wasn't just, I didn't have to do babysitting. I would do like one job and get $1,000 or something. I was like, oh, it seemed like easy money, but now as an adult, it's not easy. You have to try really hard and stay fit and stay healthy and, be disciplined and all of that. But I learned that along the way.
So you say you love the kind of initial reactions, like when you would do something on live stage. But then you end up doing voice roles, and that feels, at least to me, but like a little bit of a contradiction, because in voice roles, unlike even acting roles where you're seen on camera, you don't get that same level of reaction or the same level of, I guess, recognition, right? So
right.
How did that that extrovert part of you kind of, I guess, handle this kind of voice acting thing?
Yeah. Well, when you get the chance to get a lead role in a prelay series, so that's what My Little Ponytails, like when I was a teenager, I was in the original My Little Pony. That was quite a while ago. But that was a prelay series, meaning they laid down the voice and then they do the animation. And same with X-Men Evolution. The whole cast is in a big sound studio, and there's maybe 20 different mics and music stands. With each one of us has our script and everything. So the immediate reaction compared to theater when you're doing a pre series is you get all the other actors, because it's like a table reading kind of thing. You're right there with each other and you just do scene by scene, and the director is there across the glass wall over there with the engineers, and you got your headphones on like you do, and you're listening to for the direction. And then I do one scene with another actor, and the immediate reaction is from the other actor. So it gets really silly in that room. So it's not like there's an audience like theater, but you have the other actors that are enjoying your performance. So that's fun. And then in the end, like you say, throughout my career, I ended up in Hong Kong doing theater again. And I was like, I'm back doing what originally pulled me into this whole world.
So let's talk a little bit about your time on X-Men Evolution, because as a child, my all-time favorite TV series, X-Men Evolution, it was one of the 2 or 3 series that actually got me into superheroes and actually really made me just absolutely love superheroes. So this series has a special place in my heart. And so how was that kind of the overall experience, I guess, of doing a series like that?
It was amazing. The writing was great, and the professionalism and the talent was high caliber. All the actors were really professional, and we all bonded like years later. Even when we see each other around, we'd give each other a hug, and we feel like we were part of this important experience together. And it was fun in the middle doing the acting, because they would come in and they would film us. So they would film me reading the script and talking with my hands, or like at the time I had longer hair, I flip my hair or something. And because they would film us in our own way that we would move, then with the animators down in LA, they would put that movement in. So when you see Kitty Pryde on that X-Men Evolution show, not that she looks like too much like me, because it was a cartoon, but there's a little bit of me in there. And there was even an episode where they put Maggie Blue Road secretly in one of those Easter egg, those eggs things that you hear about, like the things that nobody knows, but when you know about it, you can look later. So in one of the episodes, it says Maggie Blue Road. It was just fun to be involved in a Warner Brother, WB Kids show, big budget, so everybody got paid well, and I think I bought my my first VW van. Like I bought a VW van from doing that, and I was brought to London in 2014 and 2015, 2 years in a row. For an anime convention there, and everybody's in cosplay, and I dressed up like Bulma. I had a blue wig and a little blue dress on, and it's a thrill to be involved in those kind of shows because it does really impact, like you say, you growing up and seeing these shows. The fans in England were loving that I had done Bulma because they said that in England that was actually the first anime that they had ever seen before that was an English dub, so they could actually understand it, and it was my voice for the Bulma female character. So they were, yeah, just like, it's cool because when we're doing animation, it's just a certain small group of people, and then it goes out into the world, and then that's it. You don't really get much accolades or like appreciation like you do in theater. It's just kind of like out there for everyone to enjoy after. But it's nice to meet someone like you or like the fans at the convention because they really know all the episodes and they know more about it than I do. I just showed up and did the lines and laughed. Some people know like all the words, like all the specific scenes, dialogue, and yeah, it's a compliment.
So I'm gonna ask you a question a little bit bigger about the industry as a whole, at least from your experience. So what I've noticed is there's a very large majority of voice actors, at least that I've noticed, there's a large amount of them, I guess, that are Canadian. And is there a reason, like, is there anything, at least from your perspective, that you can see as the reason why that is the case?
Well, financially, it's because the Canadian dollar goes further for American productions. And I think that's like the bottom line is everybody is there to make a buck, make profit. So American companies know that there's a good pool of talent here in Vancouver or in Toronto. It seems like New York work productions go up to Toronto and LA productions go up to Vancouver. So we got lots of California productions up here all the time on camera and cartoon voices. Yeah, I think it's just because the Canadian dollar goes further, as well as there is a lot of crazy and fabulous, talented artists here in Canada.
And yeah, I think that kind of was that was kind of what I was thinking, but I wanted to see if you had any other, had any specific, I guess, thoughts on that, because it was something I noticed.
Yeah, there's a good clique of talent here in Vancouver, and I don't know, probably in Toronto too. But like, I think it's hard to get your foot in the door because there's still people like me. I'm in my 40s. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and still I get cartoon voices for like the teenage girls or something like that. So maybe, I mean, it is changing. I was gone for 10 years. So when I came back, it took me a while. It's been taking me a while to get back in. Casting directors and producers and directors to know that I'm back and available. But just saying, there's a clique of people who all the casting directors, all the directors know this top 30 people can pretty much do every single cartoon voice you need. So it's sometimes hard to get your foot in the door as a new actor. But saying that, if you have an original and interesting, energetic voice, there's always new available opportunities.
So what are there any kind of roles, I guess, that you wanted that you didn't end up getting?
Oh, I'm sure. I've done so many auditions over the years. Trying to think of something specific. There was a part that I actually got cast in, and I did one episode, and then they fired me because I was not willing to be. They kept on asking me to be more ditzy, more stupid, more ditzy, and I was like, I don't want to represent. I don't want to, like, I'm a free, open-minded thinker. I was brought up with hippie parents and like question authority and break molds. That's why I love being an artist. That's why I loved creating theater, was because you can create things that are like outside of the box. And with the film industry, we know it's like there's archetypes of different looks, right? Or different characters. So they wanted some character to be really ditzy and stupid, and I just didn't want to perpetuate young girls feeling like I'm either the smart nerd or I'm the pretty stupid girl. Like, you can't be smart and beautiful. You got to be the ugly stupid girl or the pretty, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
the ugly, smart, you know.
You can be whatever you want to be.
The
There doesn't have to be these.
Exactly. And I didn't want to keep perpetuating these old stereotypes. So I got fired. But I felt like, oh well. And at least I stood by my ethics. And sometimes it's hard to have ethics in this industry. So now that I'm teaching acting again, I'm reminding all my young students that you don't have to say yes to every part. And I highly recommend you having some strong integrity and ethics and only choosing parts that feel good for your morals, which can be hard in this industry.
Exactly. Moral stances and not like, caving in it's very important. And, if you're going to get fired for something, that's the best reason to get fired. So
I think so, right? And I like thinking about our legacy. When we're in our teens and 20s, even our 30s, we're still young and we're not thinking about at the end of our life, what did you create? What is your reputation? What did you stand for? And I'm not willing to do a lot of things that are like against my morals. And that's why maybe I'm not as famous as I could be, because I'm not willing to do a lot of things. I think it's important to stay human and stay kind and stay smart.
now, so do you have a movie growing up that was kind of like an inspiration to you?
A movie. Well, might sound funny, but when I was in grade 8, me and my girlfriends loved this vampire movie called Lost Boys. It had Kiefer Sutherland in it. I mean, I'm in my 40s, so I'm a bit old school, Generation X. But it was called Lost Boys, and we all dressed up like the main vampire girl. That her name was Star. She had this long hair with her, flip her hair back and forth, and she had these long dresses on and lacy tops, and we just thought she was so pretty and that vampires were so cool. So that was like part of our gothic aesthetic back then. Wearing like black and lace and thinking that vampires were really dramatic and exciting. And then as I got older, when I was living in Hong Kong, I was inspired by all the Hayao Miyazaki films, like Spirited Away and Totoro, and there's so many good ones, but like all of his animation, Ponyo by the Sea. Yeah, it's like kind of more innocent, but really beautiful, colorful, detailed animation. And then I also love the movie Amélie. Have you ever seen that? It's a French film. It's about a young woman who is quite an introvert, but she's very like, she watches everything, and she sees all the different characters in her town in France, in Montmartre, in like this artistic area in Paris. And she ends up like helping all these people find and meet each other, and like matchmaker kind of thing. And everything is she like puts her hands in the peas and like feels. She loves texture. She loves sounds. She loves smells. She loves color and design. And I like all that like saturated color in the film and all these quirky characters.
That's a very big change from Lost Boys too.
Yeah. I found my way.
It's funny.
From blood sucking to blood rubies.
I've actually seen Lost Boys, so I can.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That's
like the motorcycles and yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was sexy.
I completely can understand why.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how that changed so much from like Lost Boys to like Spirited Away, and it's like
yeah. I was into the punk scene back then. I had like skateboarder boyfriends and into snowboarding and mosh pits and cool pointy Fluvog shoes and all that. More witchy styles. And then moving to Asia, just I think I'm becoming a woman, just more feminine, more soft, and not trying so hard. I'm just drinking some homemade kombucha, so it does look like beer, but it's kombucha, and then we home make it at home.
That's amazing. So what is the process for preparing for a character you voice?
Oh, well, I teach it these days at a place called Story Institute. It's a school in Vancouver, and I do online classes, and I also do in-person classes. So if any of you want to learn from me, you can check it out online at storyinstitute.ca. Little plug there.
And there will be a link in the description. So
cool. Well, there's lots to do, but kind of like a quick thing that you can do is like the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why. And then you can add the how. So who are you? Where are you from? Where are you? That helps to know if you need an accent or not. How old are you? If I'm gonna be an old lady, then it's gonna go into a different voice placement. If it's gonna be a little girl, it's gonna be a higher voice placement. So think about your age. Think about if you need what type of accent. I just did an audition and she was like, "Abel Scaver, you get over here right now," putting in a southern accent. Yeah, voice placement I always teach about. So there's, the high head, and there's the open eyes, and there's the nose, and the back of the throat, and there's the nice open chest narrator voice, or I like doing, when we do warm-ups with my students, we do the villain laugh. So you can hold your tummy and you can go, nice deep voice. So depending on your character, you would think about the voice placement kind of first. And then, I also teach audition technique for on-camera actors. So it's a lot more detail about like your goals, like for the scene, what are you trying to get, and then your tactics, and then your reaction, and at the end of the scene, you get your result. So that's kind of more when you're on camera, all those nuances that you see in an actor's face that you don't have to deal with doing cartoon voices. So that's kind of why it's fun doing cartoon voices, is there's a lot less preparation work that you need to do. You don't have to worry so much about how you look either. You can show up at the studio in your silk pajamas if you want to. It's all about your voice. So yeah, voice placement, age, accent, and then, pace, tempo, how fast or how slow would you need to talk. If the character is a sloth, you're gonna talk a lot slower than if he's a zippy little kid who loves to be on fire. And just think about the whole realm of this character and what the voice needs to sound like. And I like to put in all of that work as much as possible. I usually do at least 20 minutes of consideration before I will even do an audition, just to put a little bit extra oomph in, because there's lots of competition out there to get the job.
So I have a question for you about accents. So I think one of the more common things are one of the harder things for people to kind of understand is how to learn an accent. So how did you kind of initially learn, like there's a large variety of different, you think British accent, Southern accent, right? How did you kind of learn those, and how did you kind of learn them?
Well, I think if you want to be an actor, then you would probably anyways be watching tons of films and tons of cartoons and tons of interviews, just for research on what is relevant, what is modern, what's contemporary for acting styles and looks and everything. If I have a specific either theater role or film or cartoon voice that has an accent that I don't know already, like I feel like I can do Russian pretty good, and even Indian may be good, and Southern. But if it was England, there's so many different dialects, is that the word, or regions in England. There's up in the north, and then there's Cockney, and then there's London, and there's so many different areas that somebody like us from Canada, we might just think, oh, it's the British accent, it's just the classic British accent. But somebody who is actually from one of those regions would know that we're full of bollocks, wouldn't they? Because we hadn't done the actual regional dialect preparation. So if I'm really wanting to do a good job, I would do much more research, like maybe even hire a dialect coach, or I would do much more research on the specific films and really, really practice a lot before I either do the audition, or if I got the role, make sure you do a lot of the work. Pretty much just watching the films and listening to audiobooks. And if you have any friends who are from that area, just talk with them and get them to help coach you. But you definitely can't just wing it, because there are people from those cultures who understand specifically what they're looking for and what sounds right or wrong.
So when you're kind of preparing for Kitty Pryde and that series, how much preparation did you do in terms of like understanding the character, for example, going and reading comics and other things like that?
Um, to be honest, I don't think I did any of that. I think I just showed up and read the script, and I think we were given the scripts maybe like a week ahead of time, but only one week, and then you're recording the next week, so you got some time to read it over, and make some choices on, oh, this is an emotional scene, how am I going to tap into that real emotion, or this is action. Make some like actor notes, like make a little mark, like here I'm gonna like do like some sort of action sound, or prepare, like make little notes on the sidebar of the scenes of the script. But yeah, I mean, maybe it was naivety in my youth, in my 20s, when I got the role, that I was not putting as much effort into it as I know you need to do now. I think because work in my 20s was just coming to me, flying to me. I was just like, yeah, I got this. And I think at the time I just read it with my own youthful vigor, and that seemed to be good enough. But I didn't put any effort into knowing what X-Men was about. I just kind of winged it and figured it out along the way. So
That's amazing. And the fact that you're able to do that, no one ever even knew. It's like amazing. You're just like, I'll just wing it.
I was Kitty Pryde.
So what are you working on now, I guess? Like, do you have any projects that you're kind of working on at the moment?
Well, I've been doing a bunch of auditions. I came back in 2015, so it's been a while now, 7 years. When I left the theater company in Asia, came back, and then at that time I had a 4-year-old daughter, and was just kind of like finding my way back because I had kind of given up my life here. So it's been taking a while to get back into the swing of things. And I've realized, because I did so much singing on stage in Asia, that I was like, well, if I'm really real with myself, what I love to do is singing. So in May, I just produced a new song called Truly Blessed, and it's out on Bandcamp. You can buy it there for a couple bucks. And I think it's on Spotify, Truly Blessed under Maggie Blue. I kind of dropped the O'Hara. I'm using the Maggie Blue O'Hara for all my cartoon animation voices and as a teacher, but as a singer, I'm just using Maggie Blue. And you can check me out on Instagram on Maggie Blue Music. And yeah, so I'm working on different songs, and then I'm gonna make about 8 singles, and then I'm gonna put those in with a few more new songs into an album. So I'm excited about that. I'm working with a really talented musician, record producer called Vinay Lobo. You can check him out, Vinay, Vina_Lobo, Lobo. He's a talented musician in his own right. He's about to do a tour in BC with his amazing slide guitar. And I've got another friend named John Stetch, who's a classical pianist. So those 2 guys and me are working on some of my original music right now. And that is a thrill because I just love songwriting. I just love freestyling and jamming. It's great. So those are the creative projects I'm working on, is making music. And then I just I did a few grant proposals for making this album, having it paid for, making some music videos. And then I work at Story Institute teaching voiceover and audition technique. And then I'm also working for a woman and her brand. I'm her assistant right now. She's a film producer, and she has a cool hair salon called The Conscious Hairdresser. And she uses like white magic, like, burning sage and having you sit in the right direction for bringing in abundance. She's got Chinese heritage as well. So she uses her feng shui and astrology and different sacred ceremony to help you have like the best hair experience ever. I'm helping her write her online courses and a book. And so I'm using all of my skills that I developed in Hong Kong, even not just voiceover work, but my producing, my directing, how to create logos, how to create brands, how to do PR and marketing. So living in Asia really helped me rise to the next level of not just voiceover actress or actor, but a whole performing artist, able to get my whole brand out there, I guess.
That's amazing, and it's like I love how you made that full pivot to like being, I guess not. I don't know if this would be insulting to say, but like almost one dimensional in a sense, like where you do this one thing, but you're
Right.
doing so many other things, which is just amazing.
Thanks.
So now two questions which we ask everyone, every guest we have. The first one is, if I were to give you an unlimited budget and I said you can direct whatever movie you want, but
Ooh.
you have it, so money's not an object for this. You can choose whoever you want from Hollywood. What movie would it be? What would kind of the genre be? And who would the main co-stars be, I guess, of this movie?
Wow, that's a cool question. Um, well, um, I've I've got because I wrote a bunch of theater scripts. I also have feature film ideas in the making. And I've always loved Keanu Reeves. I've thought he's handsome and seems kind, what you hear in the media, and an interesting actor. And I mean, he's getting kind of older, but he's still great. And I also thought of, even though she's just a singer, I thought how quirky she is. Do you remember Bjork from a long time ago? I mean, I haven't heard her music in so long, but Bjork was like an Iceland. She's from Iceland, and she's got this very cute little accent, and her music is very obscure and ambient and interesting. I thought that she could be like Queen of the Fairies or something, because she's got this like little pixie nose, and then I thought that Keanu Reeves could be like the epic warrior who like comes from Earth and like smashes through into the fairy world. And yeah, so I've got this idea for a feature film, and it's basically like these different shamans from different parts of the world. So like a Chinese young girl from China who's got like a grandmother who makes Chinese medicine, and in her sickness, in the heart and the heat of her what's it called when you have a fever, when you have a fever, she like goes into this other realm, and she goes into kind of like remember Narnia, when they go through the closet and all of a sudden they're in this icy world where they don't know where they are. So she like arrives in this ice world and is lost in the trees in the forest and doesn't know where she is. And then it goes to the south, where there's like this hot Brazilian young guy, and he's like running, and he ends up like being chased by a tiger or something, and in that fear he ends up fainting, and he goes into the same place. And then so there's like all these, and then there's a woman who's indigenous, then there's an elder who's from the north, from like Norway or something. All four of like child, teenager, adult, and elder, they all meet in this sacred place in the middle of kind of like, we find out that it's like their heart, and it's like this fairy world inside their heart, and they have to heal the divide between the human world and the fairy realms. So it's like Lord of the Rings and the Matrix all come together.
I love that so much. that just sounds amazing. It's kind of, even you could say like kind of like you're trying to mend two parts of a heart together, right?
Yes.
So you kind of get a little Frozen in there too.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and there's like the fairy king and the fairy queen, and they once were lovers and married, but they broke up and they are at war now. So above ground is like the fairy world run by the Ice King, and below ground, under the earth, where all the caves are and all like the waterfalls and the hot springs, is the fairy queen, and she's underground. And then they have to find like the crystal heart. And in the end, they realize the crystal heart is like this baby who is their baby, who they forgot about. And then they return the baby to the mother, and she brings them back to the Ice King, and everything melts and returns back to a fairy world.
Oh, I love that so much.
And then all those humans come back after they've been like revived, and then all of their fears have been faced, and they can move on. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's even a little bit of oh my God, the movie's escaping my mind now.
Yeah, but like sci-fi and fairy worlds are like my favorite. So that's what I would do. Put those two together and have an epic adventure.
That's amazing. So now the final question is, and we've kind of talked a little bit about this, but just to kind of, I guess, sum up your feelings on this or your views on this, what advice do you have for young people who want to be kind of a voice actor, actress?
Well, thanks for asking. I tell my students to follow your dreams and follow your passions, follow your delights, because that is going to give you a good life. And so don't let your fears stop you from reaching for the stars. You know, it says something like reach for the moon and at least you will land among the stars. So reach high, but also be disciplined. So you know, on camera and voiceover, you need to stay fit and healthy. So find a exercise regime, go to dance class, go to yoga, go to a gym, make yourself feel fit so you have confidence. Eat healthy so you have enough energy, sleep well so you're feeling good. Don't drink too much the day before an audition. You know, there's lots of competition out there, so don't get drunk and mess up the whole chance. Stay disciplined, knowing that there's a lot of competition out there. Get training. So come to me or come to any other top voiceover actor who's offering classes and learn from some mentors who have had some success, who have skills to offer you. Don't just think, I got this, because as I say, it's a big world out there and there's lots of competition, and people like me who have been doing this for 30 years are also in competition with the new people who are just starting. So make sure you get some training. And then, sad to say, but reality affects us. We have to pay the bills. So also have another job. Like don't bet the whole farm on your career as an actor. It might gradually happen, or it might happen right away if you're lucky. But you know, have a job as a waiter or waitress, or do something at night so you have daytime available for auditions and nighttime is your job, or however you can work it. But make sure you've got a job that pays the bills so that when you have an audition come your way, whether it's these days we do it on an MP3, you know, make an MP3 and just send it off to your agent and then they send it off. It used to be more where you'd have to actually go to the sound studio and you would meet people. I think those are happening, but more rarely. But anyways, be prepared for the audition. Do the work. So like do all of those questions, all the voice placements, tons of notes on the side of your script, and then really stay consistent in that voice. So the whole time you are choosing a southern high-pitched accent, make sure you stay consistent, for example, that whole time. And then believe in yourself. Have amazing magnetic confidence, so they would be fools not to hire you. Yeah, and believe in yourself.
Well, that's like the perfect way to end this. Thank you so much, Maggie, for coming on, and this was just so much fun. And as Maggie said, you can find her on Instagram and just
at Maggie Blue Music. And yeah, just Instagram, or I think there's some videos of me and Maggie Blue O'Hara on YouTube. But Maggie Blue Music is the one that I'm more updating regularly with little videos and inspirational messages and things. Or you can actually contact me through storyinstitute.ca, and that's where I'm actually teaching. And if you want to send me an email or a question, and I do private coaching as well, if you want some more one-on-one attention, happy to be of service and inspire the next generation.
And I know you don't know this, but below you right now is your Instagram handle, so people can see that on the screen.
Thank you so much.
And in the description is a link to your voice coaching website and your Instagram again. So
yeah, and I do have a website. I just kind of new, so I forgot about it. MaggieBlueLoveTribe.com.
And all those links again in the description. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad you were able to come on, and thank you, and thank you everyone for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and see you all next time.
Hang loose, everybody, and take care.
I'm gonna need you guys to do me a favor. I need you to like this video. I need you to subscribe to the channel. I need you to follow us on social media at comicboys_ on Twitter and Instagram. And I need you to click the notification bell so you can get notified of all the amazing stuff we have coming up, including all the interviews, which are awesome. And watch those interviews too if you haven't, because they're all awesome. See you next time. Bye.